Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Let's get you updated on the latest from Tim Cook out of the Goldman Sachs Tech Conference. Bring back Scott Wapner. And Scott, CEO, using the word crappy in the latest headlines.
Yeah, he's talking about the smartphone market in a little more detail as well, Melissa, calling it one of the best markets of all time, and the fact that he sees, in his words, incredible opportunities in emerging markets. That raises the question as to whether Apple has a cheaper device in the works, whether it's an iPhone mini, perhaps it's the wristwatch that people have speculated about for the last 48 hours or so. An interesting comment from Tim Cook. In his words again, we're making moves to make things more affordable. That certainly raises the question as to how they plan on breaking in or breaking even further into emerging markets, whether it's China or India or some of these other places where simply paying $600–700 for a high-end smartphone is no choice. So, again, interesting comments there as we try and figure out what Apple may have up its sleeve next.
Okay. Stop.
And just to loop back to the crappy, Tim Cook said, we will never make a crappy product. That was the latest headline coming out of the conference, so that's why we bring that up.
What is interesting is that inevitably a lot of the conversation is about mobile and where Apple will next take us with the hardware. Let's bring on a guy, Matthew Roberts, the CEO of OpenTable, who's very focused on mobile for his business. Welcome to the program, sir. You're already a pioneer in mobile. Stiefel would say 33% of your North American seated diners already come through that channel. When you hear Tim Cook at Apple talk about the prospect of computers that people wear, potentially, maybe an iWatch. Let's see what he has to say. How do you react as a CEO? How do you chase those developments in hardware?
Well, I think it's great. Mobile for us has been a huge positive. If you think about it, we're now wherever and whenever diners are out and about, they can use our solutions. So if they're actually wearing it on their bodies, so much the better.
How do you take it to the next level? A lot of people talk about the innovation on your site and the need, for example, for you to have push recommendations to people about where they might be located and about what might be near them, rather than them simply logging on to the OpenTable website.
What's exciting is, as you mentioned, it's already a third of all of our reservations. We're seeing a very big shift to mobile, and we have so much more to do in that area. We're excited about the opportunity to bring more discovery options for our diners, a more social layer added to it. We just acquired a company called Food Spotting, which is now going to allow us to add dish images and really help diners find the perfect restaurant table.
Yeah, we should mention that you reported results on Thursday, of course, earnings per share revenue above expectations. But Piper Jaffray was concerned that the most important metric, which is North America's seated diner growth, is decelerating. I mean, it is still up over 20% year on year. What is the trade-off for you between innovation and expenditure to drive that volume against the margins that will inevitably suffer as you do that?
Yeah, we have an unbelievably great business model with high operating leverage. So we're in a unique position to be able to invest behind a massive growth opportunity that we have ahead of us. Last year, we were only 15% of all reservations that took place in America happened on OpenTable, and only 3% in the UK. So we have a ton of opportunities, since we think at least a majority will happen online at some point. So we're going to invest behind growth. That is our opportunity ahead of us, and we're in a unique position to be able to do so because of our business model.
Matthew, I'm curious, in terms of the growth that you're seeing in mobile, whether it be reservations made by seated diners or the download of the OpenTable app, where are you seeing the most growth at this point? I'm curious as to whether or not Apple is the big engine of growth, or is it Android now?
It's across the board. We're seeing healthy growth in our mobile site and our mobile app solutions, as well as our tablet apps as well.
So equal, would you say, or
we don't provide a distribution between the two, but both are heavy, strong growth engines for us.
Just before we lose you, Matthew, there's a huge focus on the UK where you had an acquisition. It took longer to bed down than many people had hoped. When do you think EBITDA will turn positive on that?
Oh, well, we're already excited. I mean, this last quarter, I feel like we've kicked into the growth gear engine, and we're really starting to rev it up. This last quarter was great. We're looking forward to a really positive 2013.
So do you think it'll go positive in 2013?
Well, our international guidance for our segment implies that at some point during 2013, the segment as a whole would be profitable, and UK is a big part of that.
Okay. Matthew, it's good to see you. Thank you for kicking your day off with you. Matthew Roberts, the CEO of OpenTable, live from San Francisco.